and Law.
With Rosalyn Charles
and Judge Tee.
Yes, we're a little at a loss at this particular moment because every week something new seems to come about that sends us into some kind of disarray. And I believe, Sarah, we're in a place where I think we need to call on the Lord.
I agree. I mean, at this point, we're at a place where only God can help us. This administration has gone to places that have we've never gone before. So, Sora?
Yes. So I'd like to start off our programming with a little bit of scripture. And in particular, I think it's very appropriate. But just listen to Proverbs 29, verse 12. If a ruler hearkens to lies, all his servants are wicked.
Wow.
If
ruler
a ruler
hearkens to lies, all his servants are wicked.
Now, what ruler do you think we're talking about?
But the wickedness, we know where it's coming from.
Right.
From Bannon to Spicer to Priebus. I mean, it's gotten to a point. We all know about the wiretapping.
And the quotes that are associated with the wire. It's not really wiretapping, it's surveillance. It's listening. It's a microwave.
But, you know, the amount of contortions that they went through, because they remember there was 3 particular quotes that was made on that day that he made those tweets.
A couple weeks back.
Only one actually had quotes around it. But what was most disturbing is what he did afterwards, because he hasn't apologized yet, even though
nor has he walked it back.
No, he is barreling down.
Yes, he's buckling down on those statements. But we're going to find out tomorrow, because I believe Comey is going to testify before the House Intelligence Committee and come up with what potentially there has to do, if anything, and we all know there is nothing.
Before we get to Comey, because Comey is going to be a little different bag. That last week, Angela Merkel, he was here from Germany, and in the middle of the press conference. Now, this is the thing that you really need to be afraid of, because what our intelligence are responsible for is to keep surveillance on foreign countries. He actually, in a press conference, says to the German prime minister, we have something in common. Not only did Obama tap my phones, he's telling an actual foreign dignitary that President Obama tapped her phones.
The 45th is reckless. He is reckless with our national security. He is reckless with the rule of law. He is reckless with everything that makes America America. Whether it's good stuff or bad stuff, he is just trying to disrupt the way things have been done.
Well, you know what? He's reckless when Fox News runs in the opposite direction, because what the 45th said is that we should rely on a very intelligent judge who said on a very reliable news channel that President Obama usurped the reason. This is the excuse that you're going to hear. The 45th said the reason why our intelligence, our FBI, NSA, and CIA, the reason why they are unable to give information with regards to the wiretapping, because President Obama is so powerful that the GCHQ, which is the British intelligence, James Bond.
All right.
They are the British intelligence did this tapping. Now, this came from a Judge Napolitano, who actually is from New Jersey. Mm-hmm. He was on Fox News. But Fox News, they came up as quick as they could and said that Fox News...
You mean they just didn't disavow? They didn't say that his opinions, that Judge Napolitano's opinions are not necessarily those of ours. They went as far to just completely just say, absolutely not, we do not support this. Move on, President Trump.
They said, we do not support anything that Napolitano has said, full stop.
Oh, my goodness.
They wanted you to be very, very clear that they are not going to be piggybacking on our president actually saying to a foreign government that we are spying on foreign governments.
Don't you
That's
think
what
that's-
the foreign.
Don't you think
That's
that's
what
taboo?
they do.
Don't you think that's taboo?
I mean, we would
Everybody
begin
spies on everybody else. But he said it in a news conference.
in front of not just American news, but German news, French. I mean, from all over the country. So this is something that we really need to understand, because what Comey says tomorrow, and I was listening to a lot of the news stations, what Comey says is not going to be as important as to what Comey doesn't say. Because if someone were to
Well, what
ask
exactly
him,
are you saying what he doesn't say?
see, the fact is that our national intelligence do wiretap foreign countries.
And they
So,
listen. I
and
think
they
it's called
listen,
spying. I mean, there's some.
and
there's
foreign
a
countries do the same
They
thing
do
to
too.
us.
Okay.
So if somebody were to ask Comey, are we tapping Angela Merkel's or Germany, he's not going to answer that question. He can't answer that question. But you know what? If he doesn't answer that question, that is only going to give the 45th some more energy to continue with this
his
story.
lies.
He will not back out of this. He just has no intention of backing out or apologizing for basically he is barreling down on calling President Obama a
criminal.
a criminal of a humongous enormity. We're talking about now he's using other countries.
Well, you know what's all very sad about all of this is all we've been talking about all week, or at least the media in large part, has been talking about the quotes and the lack of quotes around various words in the 45th's tweet.
Yes.
Meanwhile,
Well, he can't even spell.
TAPP. That's
Well,
how
there was no quotes around that the tap.
the tap. But
Okay.
Okay.
And there was no quotes around him saying that President Obama, sick guy.
But again, we've spent 2 weeks in the news cycle talking about something that more than likely doesn't even exist. Meanwhile, the Republican Party has moved forward with its agenda. Meanwhile, there are all kinds of things that are happening and moving along, but we're talking about quotes around the word wiretap.
Well, he got on,
Even if it's invoked, we have a congressional committee that's going to be examining this
whole thing with the quotes came up from Spicer. He said in the news.
Is he one of the wicked servants?
He's one of the wicked servants.
If a ruler hearkens to lies, all his servants are wicked.
Well, we know Darth Vader in the back, Steve Bannon.
Right.
He's the wickeder of the wicked. And we know that Kellyanne, she will do tumble salts and stand on her head to back up anything that he says. But more importantly, I am watching the Republicans just stay silent. There are a few, and John McCain is one of them. There are a few that just are not. They will not put aside their
morals,
and
their
ethics,
patriotism.
Now, because we talked at least with he was country first. That was his.
Let's make America great again.
No, America Great Again was Trump.
Okay.
Country First was when we had the campaign between.
Yes.
No,
Okay.
You know who I'm talking about. I can't even. It's so the confusion that I'm going through right now. My brain is basically fried.
But recognize, ladies and gentlemen, that's where the 45th wants you. That's where the 45th wants you to be going around in circles and circles and not paying attention.
It's confusing.
Not paying attention.
And it's
to
John
what's
McCain
really
that I couldn't think of.
Yes, what's really important. Not paying attention to the budget that the 45th has proposed that essentially, in sum, is a war on the poor.
It takes away parks. It's going to take away services to senior citizens. It's taking away it's also going to be taking away any of the drug rehab centers. And one of the things that we have found that is really on one of the town halls that I had watched over the week happened to be in West Virginia. West Virginia is about 85% white. So we can't. These are not black people talking. These are white Americans who are also going through.
Well, the narrative that is always put forth is that minorities make up a bulk of the poor. But this country is it's pretty much equal opportunity when it comes to poor people. When
Exactly.
we speak in terms of poor people, we're talking about people who are in need of various kinds of government programs.
Absolutely.
Be it the ACA, be it credits for education, be it Meals on Wheels, be it assistance with addictions. The
One of the
CBO's
maybe-
budget is anti-people, pro-war, pro-military, anti-people, anti-foreign, cuts the State Department.
What I thought was very enlightening, but also disappointing. I was looking at and this was a majority, as I said, of poor whites in West Virginia, and their greatest number of deaths in the last year have been from opioid addiction, and that's Tylenol with codeine, that's heroin. We're talking about oxycodone. These pills are given by prescription.
Yes,
they're given
drugs.
by doctors. These are not drug dealers trying to come through Mexico. These are not. These are drugs that are gotten from your doctor's office.
Yes.
So any of you, and this is what I would employ any of you, look on your prescriptions. When you get a prescription, just about every drugstore has to give you what the side effects are of the drugs that you're taking. If you're taking a drug that is a painkiller, it is probably an opioid.
Yes.
And the opioids are actually killing more. I think in 2015, there were 52,000 deaths to opioid use.
Amazing. And that's 2015.
That was
I
2015.
don't know that all the statistics are in for 2016.
16 yet,
and
yes.
clearly not in for 2017.
17.
But let's just make an assumption that those deaths are going up. Let's just make an
That's
assumption
not
that
gun shooting. That's not cancer. That's not heart disease. That's just for using
people
painkillers.
ODing on legal drugs. They may get them in their hands illegally, but ODing on legal drugs that are pushed by Big Pharma.
Big Pharma, and that's who is getting the most money if they get the health care that the Trump administration. Now everybody's running. They don't want to call it Trumpcare. Ryan don't want to call it Ryan-care.
It's Trumpcare.
Well,
And it's Trump lack of care. They talk about the lack of access to care as opposed to the ability to have health care, but it's called Trump care. Cut people off of the ACA, which they so conveniently
so afraid of. You know, the fact that he said he was going to be winning so much that you were going to get tired of winning. He hasn't won anything yet.
Oh yeah,
the ban has been banned again.
The ban is banned.
And they went to the point of actually going back to his rallies, and the judge actually inserted into his opinion the words from Donald Trump's quotes at his rallies with regards to this
essentially
ban.
saying it's a Muslim ban.
This man is so ignorant that he then gets on to the news and says, we should have used the original words. We shouldn't have even, we watered it down. We should have kept it the first way and then took it. That's what I wanted to do anyway. I mean, he actually cares not that we have a judiciary that is put in place to keep the Constitution in line.
Speaking of the Constitution, there's a nomination
Gorsuch.
at the exact same time that Comey will be speaking.
Yes.
They'll be having hearings on Gorsuch's nomination. And although I guess in general Gorsuch may seem like a good guy, there are some concerns that have been raised by the NAACP with respect to his record and some of the statements that he's made with respect to how litigation ensues in this country. In particular, he said there's too much constitutional litigation.
Now,
Would
who
that be his
has the
position?
constitutional litigation? Civil rights, the LGBTQ community, the women's rights, equal pay. Labor issues. This is a judge.
Sounds like he doesn't want to work.
No, one of the arguments that I was making all through the campaign, because people were so worried about Obamacare, that they were forgetting that this man, they circumvented President Obama's pick for the Supreme Court to put on one that they thought would be more like
more conservative, more like Scalia.
No, this one is right of Scalia.
He's right of Scalia.
He's right of Scalia. This one is saying that he believes that the issues that are going to the Supreme Court that involve the issues that involve the abortion and civil rights issues, that we are too litigious. We're using the Constitution.
Well, let me just interrupt you for a minute, because I see that Phyllis Callender has chimed in on our drug and alcohol issue, indicating that she is a nurse of almost 20 years, and she is in fear of the future with the lack of services in the area of addiction.
And you know what, Ms. Callender, I absolutely agree with you, because one of the issues that this is going to affect, her being a nurse, she sees firsthand folks that are coming in.
She's on the front line
and actually having to deal with families with drug abuse. She also is very aware of people that are using their prescriptions and where they get them legally, and use them and sell them to other people.
That's another
making money.
That's another interesting aspect of it. It's not just the health effects and the ultimate effects on the lives, but then folks, because of the lack of services, end up also selling their prescriptions and making money off of them, which again affects other people's lives, which I imagine that Ms. Callender does in fact see.
You know what, and those are the people that I so much appreciate, is that when we have people like Ms. Phyllis Callender, who is working in the health industry, she understands what this healthcare change is going to mean in her job and how she works, the overload that's going to be coming into the emergency rooms and things of that
that's
sort.
one of the points with this attempt to repeal the ACA or Obamacare. They're going to put more pressure on the hospitals, because at least there was an incentive, or some incentive. Now, granted, the ACA wasn't perfect, but there was an incentive for everyone to get insured. And one of the reasons they wanted everybody insured is so that it would cost, health insurance ultimately would cost less money, because essentially a lot of people were just going to the emergency room, running up the costs for everyone. Where are these folks going now? They're still going to go to the emergency room, and the emergency room at these various hospitals are going to be overloaded. I don't know what the Republican agenda is really.
But you know, as time is running out, I do want to. I mean, we do have a few minutes, but I want to spin this on something that we have so quickly forgotten. All of you know that we spent most of President Obama's term having to deal with shootings. It wasn't until we got a black president that black lives started to matter, and that they were actually going out, because at least we thought with a African American president that he would speak on it.
Well, let's just say that it just so happens to have happened around the Obama administration.
No, it was happening before.
But yeah, it was happening before. But with the advent of technology, we now have proof positive of what actually happens on the street when it involves these police shootings. People are using their phones, and we have videos now. And this past Thursday, and I'm going to ask any of you, go back on your news and ask yourselves, if you were watching your news, did you hear anything about a gentleman who was shot in Tennessee? Rodney James Hess on Thursday. Another unarmed black man has been cut down and executed by law enforcement. Have you heard anything? Where's Black Lives Matter?
He was taping Facebook Live as the police came to his car. He was asking the officers to get him a supervisor.
Yes, I want to hear the higher command.
Now, I want higher command. Those were his exact words. I want to talk to higher command. The officer shot him through the windshield of his car.
Yes.
So there is absolutely, what reason? Now, some of the reason that they came with is that he was trying to hit the officer with his car.
The investigation is very new. We don't have all of the facts.
But the fact that I've been going through, even when I was trying to look up to get more information online, it's very difficult.
Very scant. And again, the investigation is new. But if you look at the video,
we put the video up on our page, so please look at it on our Facebook.
Look at the video. He was streaming live. He streamed his own execution live. I don't see the car that he was seated in moving. And that's the allegation from, that's what law enforcement is saying, that
he was trying to.
The reason they shot him is because he was trying to run them over with his vehicle.
Well, what you do see, you hear the bullet, you hear him screaming and moaning. He drops the phone, and where the phone is dropped,
it's very
you can
disturbing.
see the shattered glass.
It's very disturbing.
So if you go onto our Facebook page, we actually have the shooting on our page because he shot the video himself on Facebook Live. So no one needed to confiscate his phone because he was actually, wasn't it his girlfriend? Because he was dealing with some,
he had some mental health issues. Some mental health issues. And the excuse they say, meaning the authorities have put out there that he was acting erratic. I don't know what that means. They always use these big,
but he's
broad
inside
terms.
of his car. So how could you see that he's acting erratic?
That he was saying things that didn't make sense. No, he was calling for
higher authority.
Higher authority. So I guess that didn't make sense to them.
He wanted a supervisor to come to the scene, that he was not going to get out of the car until a supervisor came to the scene. And that led to a firing through
an execution.
The windshield of the car. I mean, this
gunned down.
And he died at the hospital. But this is now, it's getting to be a point, we're not even 2 months into this presidency, and we have at least the one that was hardly given any
back
play
to one of our general points is that we've been talking about I say we, what's out there in the media world, we've been talking about quotes around a word wiretap. Meanwhile, on Thursday, an unarmed man is gunned down by the police. And have we heard much about that?
Have you heard President?
Is it not part of the news
the
cycle?
45th say anything about the fact that this man was shot? They made President Obama basically give, a whole liturgy on Black lives and had to explain. He had to be Black man in chief, not just president in chief, every time something happened. And you know what? It is the responsibility of the president to be engaged with what's going on to American citizens, not just Black American citizens.
I agree on that standpoint, but also I think it's the responsibility of the media to pick up on this.
Well,
and I didn't hear anything on one of the major newscasts until today on CNN.
Not in MSNBC, not Fox, definitely not on Fox. CNN did cover it.
But to your point, where's Black Lives Matter's voice on this matter?
See, we cannot be selective and only believe that we cannot stop because the 45th is there. We have to continue.
Let's just rest in peace, Rodney. Our condolences to your family, to your friends, and you will not be forgotten in this regard, because
Lord, I hope that Gorsuch is not on the Supreme Court if it has to go that far for his family to get justice.
Well, I know that I have an idea that Jeff Sessions, our Attorney General, prior to even this happening, has made a statement that he does not believe that the Justice Department should be involved in state matters that involve police shootings. In other words, no more investigations into police shootings, because we have better things to do with our tax dollars.
Now,
Rodney, you will not be forgotten. No.
But those are the things that we're talking about, and because remember, as your biblical quote, those that are following behind the demon of which we call our 45th are actually playing out his hand. Now we have spent so much time talking about the Russians, which we cannot even let that go.
No.
If Russia is so entangled into our business, if he's going to tell the German prime minister that we are tapping her phones, what is he telling the Russians? Because we have too many people entangled into the American government right now that are they're in bed, so to speak, with the Russians. So there's so much that we have to talk about.
Has there ever been a time in your lifetime when so many controversies creep up within a week. Has there ever been a time in your lifetime that so many controversies creep up within a 2-month time span involving our government and the president?
And foreign,
Do we just know too
heard.
much now? Is this just a result of the information age?
Well,
no, I think someone's stirring the pot.
Wiretapping, as we know, I mean, I guess the biggest one that everybody knows is Nixon. And that's why, when Trump first made the allegation, he was saying this is, McCarthyism, this is Nixonian. But see, somebody told him that President, we don't have to use those draconian ways anymore. And then he gets on the news and says, oh, well, the quotes means because we know those are outdated. Well, when he did that 3:00 in the morning text, nobody had informed him that he was a little outdated, so someone had to bring him up to date. And so
Darlene
now
said, let's be for real, the 45th is not concerned.
No, he's not. Darlene, we know.
You're right. He's concerned with making billions off of our tax dollars.
You know what we know already, that man is not in the best interest of our country. He is in the best interest of Donald Trump and Donald Trump only, and those
and his balance sheet.
Absolutely. How much money he's going to make off of the presidency.
And how much he can get the United States government to pay for.
We're paying for Mar-a-Lago.
Yes.
We're paying for each and every one of these golf trips. Remember when he was talking about President Obama being more on the golf course than he was in the White House? This man has had more golf trips than anybody I know.
Well, there's the White House in the South. That's in Florida. Then there's the White House in the North.
You're paying for that out of your taxes.
There's security that takes that. There's security at Mar-a-Lago, which costs how many millions of dollars a year, and there's security at Trump Tower,
where
which costs is costing the city of New York, I think, $183 million a year. I think the tax. D.C. is going to pick up on that, but
D.C. has to pick up that tab. He's going to pick up. We don't even know what school that Barron is going to, but you're paying for that too.
Yes,
you're paying for the security.
I think I read somewhere where it was basically a voucher.
Oh.
It's $183 million a year education voucher.
That's quite an expensive school.
Yeah,
you can send 4 or 5 kids through college.
Probably a whole state.
Oh my gosh.
Goodness.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have so many different issues that are given to us on a weekly basis. We almost over inundated. But what we cannot do is be so overloaded that we let this rest. It is so very important as Americans that we stay vigilant, that we need you to stay engaged. We are here with Sisters and Law on our Twitter page. Our web page is now open through Facebook, Instagram. There's so many things that we have to talk about. We cannot even get it into the 30 minutes that we try to allot on every Sunday to have our conversations. What I am glad is that Ms. Callender, we thank you so much for your information as a nurse. We know that it's important that what goes on. Ms. Dillard, we thank you a lot for your information. That, staying engaged with us is so very important. I know that Ms. Muhammad down in Asbury Park, she always stays with us. Samantha Muhammad. Pamela Jackson, I know she's always giving me something that I may forget, that because I run her ear down all week long with all the things that I have going on in my head. It's so very important, and we really, really love the fact that you are engaged with Sisters and Law.
And we remind you not just to be engaged with Sisters in Law, but get engaged with your government.
Yes.
Get engaged by calling your congressman and reminding them that you count. You're not just there. They're not just there to serve themselves. They are there to serve you. Because while these things are emanating all around the media, these various topics, the Republican Party is moving forward with its agenda. And you can even go to a website and count the bills that they are moving forward with. And since
they don't even have time to give you so many.
Right.
Yeah.
Since January 2017, 1,300 bills have been circulating between either the House or the Senate. Now, not all of them have passed, but they're not all dealing with things. But we're not looking at those. You need to look. Congress.gov. Look up the bills.
Know who your congressman is. And again, I want to continue to remind you, we're having gubernatorial races in November. New Jersey and Virginia, stay vigilant. There, we need to make sure we had some Democratic governors to be able to help these states, because if they're not going to be listening to us on the federal level,
we need Democratic governors, or at least we need Democratic legislatures. We need people to get out and vote.
Here in New Jersey, we're going to be giving you more information as we continue to go on. We're supporting Phil Murphy's candidacy for governor in the state of New Jersey. Those of you, whoever you support, make sure you vote. It is very, very important. We're Democrats. You don't have to be a Democrat to listen to our conversation.
I'm independent,
She's
but it's
independent.
okay.
I'm a D to the left. So to the left.
I make my own
I
decisions.
say,
Sometimes it goes this way. Sometimes
you know
it
what?
goes
I
that
don't have
way.
to agree,
Okay.
but I tell you this: at this point in my life, it is I have to go with humanity.
Yeah.
And what the Republicans are doing at this
Clearly,
point,
the messaging is
not
is
humane.
very anti-humane from the Republican Party.
Absolutely.
That's all I have to say. All right. Well, I think that about wraps up our time for this Sunday.
Thank you for being here with Sisters and Law.
Catch our tape show on Wednesday. Take care.
See you soon.